Kent State really does care about its students, and I think that if a student wants to feel supported throughout their time here and feel like they have someone to go to for help or for advice or just to talk, Kent State is the place for that.
Ugh. Hi, Angel.
Hi, Devil. Uh-oh, is she shopping again? Calm down. She's just browsing electric toothbrushes.
It's easy to be unsafe online.
It's asking for her passport info to buy a toothbrush?
Sounds legit to me.
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you device security, a VPN for online privacy, and identity theft protection, all in one. Opt in to cyber safety. Save 25% or more off your first year at norton.com/news.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey guys, this is Matt Seidel, and you're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll preview Power Struggle, answer listener questions, and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com, with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level, and you can visit njpwext.us today for details. Young boy, how was your Halloween weekend, man?
Yeah, pretty good. Not as much trick-or-treating. Let me ask you something, okay? Now that we're on the subject, and now that my girlfriend's, off at Hotworks working out or whatever the fuck it's called. She's had some gimmick where you work out in like a sauna and some shit. So
hot yoga gimmick.
No, it's like you do like Pilates and like ride a bike. And there is some yoga, but you can do a bunch of different shit. I don't know. I think it's called Hotworks. I don't know, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's some other shit. Anyways, we got into a fight, right? Because not a fight. That's overstating. A disagreement. When you were a kid, how did you trick or treat with your parents? Did they go with you?
Sometimes it depended. I guess it depended how young I was, but sometimes like my dad would go with me.
Okay, so when you're young and your parents go with you, did they carry a sack or bucket, like a little jack-o'-lantern as well, to also get candy, quote unquote, for you?
No, they did not.
Really?
I had my one like bucket or whatever gimmick I had, bag, whatever it was, and once it was full, it was full.
What? Full? There's no such thing, bro. Okay, listen. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she said this was some poor family shit, and maybe it is. Like, but like, we didn't have a bucket. We took the pillowcases, and you can't fill that shit up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be impossible. And the parents would trick or treat too. And it wasn't just my family. Like all my friends' parents would always bring an extra bag. And back then, I don't think we were as worried about the kids having too much candy. In fact, a lot of that candy was going to get eaten by like the general family unit.
Mm-hmm.
But like the whole family not the whole family, but like the parent and the kid would both go dress up, both get candy. It's all for the kid. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Now, let me tell you the gimmick that I saw this weekend. So
Okay.
I went trick-or-treating with my girlfriend's nephews and her sister-in-law and her brother. And so what they did was they brought like grocery bags. And so the kids, they would fill up their buckets. And then once their buckets were filled, they would dump it in the grocery bag so their bucket was empty and then keep going.
Yeah, that's smart too. So I made a joke about like, I can't wait till I have kids so I can go trick-or-treating again. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I explained, she's like, you don't do that. And I was like, yeah, like my whole life, that's what my family did and all my friends' parents did. And she's like, no, I've never heard of that. Keep in mind, this is coming from the same woman who did not know that you can only knock on the doors with the porch light on.
She didn't know that?
No, bro. She was like,
that's like trick-or-treating 101.
I know. I've explained. She thinks I'm lying. She thinks I'm lying about this. I was like, no, you only knock the doors that have the like porch light on. She's like, but what if they like forgot to change the light bulb? You just never know. And I was like, I guarantee you, those people do not want you knocking on.
Right. Like 9 out of 10 times, like if the porch light's on, it's because they don't want to be bothered. Like move on to the next house.
So yeah, we come from different upbringings, but like, fuck it. When I get old enough to have kids, which I guess I'm back on social media a little bit. I got back on the Facebook gimmick right in time for Meta to be unveiled. Great timing.
Gonna enter the metaverse, man.
Yeah, been reconnecting with friends and old school classmates, shit like that. And they've all got kids. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, it's weird because in our friend group, there's a lot of us who don't really have kids. So to me, it's super normal to be in our like early to mid 30s and, fuck it, out here living my best life,
Right, yeah.
Gotta get these FIP tickets. trying to go to Texas for WrestleMania weekend,
Right. I see people like worried about like, getting school supplies and, all this stuff for the kids. I'm like, man, what's the next wrestling show I'm going to?
But I just say that to say I am old enough to have children, apparently. It just doesn't really occur to me that much until I like look around. And I've got literally like one of my best friends growing up. His like daughter is like 16. He just bought a car for her. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. You had a kid 16 years ago? Like, what do you even do with your life, bro?
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, but to answer your question, I had a good Halloween weekend. I didn't get to watch many spooky movies as I like to, but we did go out Halloween Eve, Devil's Night. That's what we call it what's it called down here? That's what it is in Detroit. It's Devil's Night.
I just think it's just Halloween night here. I don't think it has
No, the night before Halloween.
Oh, night before Halloween?
Yeah.
Isn't that like All Hallows Eve? I don't know.
Every place has a different name for it, but in Detroit it's Devil's Night. But we went out, mixers. I dressed up as fucking Special Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks, aka I didn't want to go get a outfit, so I wore a suit. But we went hard, bro. We went hard. Yeah, I sang Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror Picture Show, so I did that for karaoke. That was an experience.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a good time. You do anything crazy? I know you went trick-or-treating.
Yeah, so the day before, on Saturday, me and my girlfriend went to, one of my coworkers had a costume party. And so went there. We were Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. And so, yeah, had a good time hanging out there.
I'll tell you this much. Next year, if the person I'm with, if it's my girlfriend or just whoever in life, whoever wants to support me, it doesn't really matter. If they don't have the kind of love for me where I can cosplay as Darby and they want to go as Sting, then I don't want it. Okay?
Oh man, that's like the ultimate like couple costume right there.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's jump into some NJPW. We have a ton
in the paint.
We have a ton of stuff to talk about here this week. First, we got to talk about the October Wrestler of the Month and Match of the Month. So, we had the conclusion of the G1 at the end of October. A lot of great matches, a lot of wrestlers really having great performances. So, young boy, tell us who is the Wrestler of the Month.
Yeah, this was a tough call. Kind of came down to two individuals who both had exemplary October months. Really came down to Zack Sabre Jr., who had a great month, but we felt he got edged just slightly performance-wise, as well as in kayfabe by the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, the winner of this year's G1. Fantastic performances against Jeff Cobb and Taiji. He also had a really great match with I'm trying to recall what the other one was.
What, the Okada?
Yeah.
So he had Taichi, Sonata, and Cobb.
That's who it was. It was Sonata, yeah. Plus, I mean, he had a surprising shock upset loss to Tamatonga, and then the unfortunate G1 finals against Abushi which was really shaping up to be a great match just prior to that accident. So, a lot on his resume for the month, and he is our Wrestler of the Month, injury or no injury, Kazuchika Okada.
Right. I felt he really peaked towards the end of the tournament. Like, he started off, there were good matches, but I think as that closing stretch came, he really had a lot of bangers towards the end. Whereas Sabre started off hot and then kind of went down a little bit, was consistent, and then started peaking again right at the end. But yeah, like you mentioned, I think Okada edged him out just a little bit there. But then looking at the match of the month for October, we're going to go with Kota Ibushi versus Shingo Takagi. And, it came down between this match and the Cobb and Okada B block final match, but we decided to go with Ibushi and Shingo across the board. That is the highest ranked match for October on Cage Match, on Grapple. I rated both match equally 4.5, but, we mentioned last week, we gave that Cobb Okada 4.5. We gave it that extra quarter because of, the atmosphere and the stakes of it being a G1 final.
Yeah, it makes me question. Maybe we're a little overrated on that,
Yeah. And then Abushi and Shingo, it was a straight 4.5. It didn't matter the atmosphere. That match was straight up 4.5.
I think Dave gave it 4 3/4.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Which I don't know. He'd be overrating shit though.
Speaking of Dave, you see the John Morrison Meltzer costume that he wore?
Yeah, I did, which was fantastic. I heard there's a rumor that he might have been inspired to do that because of the comment made by Dave back in the day that he had better abs than John Morrison.
Yeah. And the best part was Dave getting reports from the Halloween party that nobody knew who Morrison was dressed up as.
That's hilarious. I bet you they all knew, they just kayfabed him,
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe next year I go as Big Dave with the mullet. We should all, what we should do?
All be different versions of Dave.
All be different versions of Dave Meltzer through the years.
Oh man, gotta start working on those curls. We got to get those guns looking right.
I want to be Phil Donahue, Dave, with the mullet and the double-breasted suit with the shoulder pads.
Yeah. Well, we have a question here from Dom Homie 101. He says, any thoughts on the Japanese government removing some of the COVID-19 restrictions, and how will this affect New Japan? So the new restrictions or removal of restrictions, events held across Japan can have 5,000 spectators of 50% venue capacity or 50% venue capacity, whichever is larger. With large-scale event spaces allowed to accept more than 10,000 spectators in Tokyo and other regions that were under a state of emergency. Events that will see spectators shouting and cheering will be capped at 50% or venue capacity.
Yeah, that's great news. I mean, we've been waiting for an update on, the protocols and, everything like that. The numbers have gone down drastically. I do wonder, hypothetically, Jeremy, if remember when we first got the vaccine and then our numbers went down and then there was a surge afterwards?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that might still happen in Japan, or if that's because I know that their numbers were going down along with ours, like concurrently.
And then they spiked again, yeah.
Right, and that was even without the vaccine. So I don't know if that was just a general trend, or I'm not making a claim one way or the other. I don't know, but I'm wondering if because we had the vaccine and then we saw a spike afterwards, if that trend is going to follow, or if that's more of like a Delta issue, and since they've kind of already probably likely been exposed to Delta, maybe they'll kind of be spared from that. I mean, I think the thing's still kind of unpredictable, but I mean, the good news is the numbers are down and they seem to be staying down for the time being. So, if that means things eventually get to start opening up and everything like that, I mean, I don't see how that could be anything but a positive.
Right, and I mean, increased capacity. Also, you can get more people into the building, do better gates for some of these shows. The interesting thing is, New Japan's going to have to make a tough choice. Are they going to go for the 50% capacity of a building, get that 5,000, or do they want fans to clap and go with the 50, the half of that?
Well, yeah, it is a tough decision because, I mean, I assume for bigger shows, they're going to want to pack out the shows, but it's going to be a weird juxtaposition when you have smaller shows where people are able to make noise and then larger shows where they're just still unable to,
Right.
And the other weird thing, too, is like, I think those things, and this is just a theory, but I think they feed one into another, You need exciting big shows to make the smaller shows, noteworthy and, sort of keep the people invested and have their fan involvement with the cheering and everything like that a major part of it. When you have show, like let's say if you have a big show, right, and it could be a great show, but the people can't really get involved and everything like that, I have a feeling that there's a good chance that when they go to those smaller shows, even though they're allowed to be, boisterous and cheer and everything, they might not do it as much. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but, maybe because they haven't been able to for so long, it won't matter. And, but we have seen the numbers of attendance have gone down significantly. And I'm sure a lot of that is atmosphere based and, a lot of factors. So, it's hard to truly say, but yeah, they've got to be pretty strategic here in what they end up doing. I mean, because I feel like what they've been doing has not been working. Personally, just the numbers don't lie,
right?
When it comes to that.
And for example, so for people can get a better picture, like this weekend, Power Struggle, I believe the capacity where they're at is going to be 5,000. So if they wanted fans to cheer, they would have to cut that in half to 2,500. So that's the kind of pickle they're going to be in going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, the way you're kind of positioning it is more like money based, which is also an important consideration. What I was bringing up was more just based on, fan interaction, atmosphere, things like that. But at the end of the day, it's still a business, and they're primarily a live touring business. And, at the end of the day, they're going to do what's going to be best for the bottom line.
Right. And, we do have, the World Tag League Best of the Super Junior Tour coming up, which is also not that, it's not the biggest tour of the year. And so I think they might just kind of do what they were doing for that tour. And then, you come in Wrestle Kingdom, you come in hot, and maybe by Wrestle Kingdom time, things are even better. And you can strategically do some things to get some fan interactions for those three shows.
If they will.
Right.
If they will interact at that point.
Right. So next question here from Reddit user fit_beautiful2638 says, how relieved were you to finally realize that they were only putting 3 Road to Power Struggle shows on World? LOL.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of made up in my mind post show. I was like, I'm not watching 9 fucking Road to shows. I don't give a fuck, especially since like I was like they're also repetitive. So I already decisioned in my heart not to do that. But yeah, so then once we realized like, oh, we went over all those shows for no reason, which keep in mind, We don't have a long track record of doing that on this show.
Well, we didn't read the cards for those shows. We talked over the shows that happened before we recorded, which actually was the end of the televised Road 2 shows. And we just said, go to the website to check out the rest of the schedule. So we didn't even really talk about
our streak is intact.
Yeah.
Okay, because it felt like we were, because I was reading them all and I was like, God, oh my God. Like, look, I was like, look at these cards. They look like Largo Loop, like NXT cards. Like, there's nothing of substance.
Right.
So I mean, I think we're both pretty relieved that that's the case.
Yeah,
which makes more sense, actually.
Yeah, it does. And they capped it off with the big junior tag title win with Flying Tigers, beating Despy and Kanemaru. So I was very happy about that.
But even still, we obviously, even though we didn't discuss them all, we still obviously didn't know that they weren't all going to air. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made the comments we made last week. And we don't have a long track record of, making that sort of mistake on the air. We're usually pretty astute. So,
Yeah,
Give us that one.
Yeah, right. Next
cover the whole G1, a.k.a. Jeremy covered the whole G1.
Next question from our user Grunty Dodds is, what is going to be the cutoff for your year-end awards? Power Struggle? Battle in the Valley? So I guess we can figure that out right now.
Yeah, so that was another thing last week. You mentioned the end of November, and I thought about it, and I was like, generally, it's always the start of Super Junior Tag League.
Right. I meant the ballot would be available at the end of November. Not that we were.
Why would the ballot be available? It starts with World Tag League.
What do you mean?
That our calendar year usually runs until World Tag League. That is the cutoff.
Right. I thought we cut off. World Tag League starts November 13th.
We've never cut it off before World Tag League. That's always been the apps. Like, the day World Tag League starts is usually the day that
that's the cutoff. Yeah.
Start tracking for the new year.
Right. So World Tag League starts November 13th.
Okay. Yeah. And that sounds about right. I mean, that's what it normally is. It's usually mid-November.
Right. Yeah. And so.
But you said the ballot would be available. Did you say by the end of November?
Yeah.
Oh, I mistook. I was thinking the beginning. Okay, that would be. I don't know what's going on. Well, let me look on Cage Match. I'm looking at the events that they have.
So, Battle in the Valley is the same day as the first day of the World Tag League.
That's gonna have to go on next year.
Okay.
It just. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Because I mean that. The traditionalist in me has always said World Tag League. That's next year's shit. And there is a part of me that could like maybe make an exception for it because it's in the States. But if you really think about it logically, the first day of World Tag League takes place earlier in that morning.
Right. So
it's clearly grandfathered into World Tag League territory. So, and before that, it's Power Struggle. Is the last date, November 6th, and then we move on to November 13th. So I'm thinking, you know what? Traditionally, that is the deal. Power Struggle is usually the last show of the calendar year for us.
Right.
I think that's a lock, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, initially I was thinking kind of like you, maybe we kind of grandfather, kind of slide in Battle in the Valley since it's in the States. But yeah, you make a great point. Yeah, day one of World Tag League / Best Super Juniors will happen earlier in that day. So yeah, we'll just count Battle in the Valley as a part of the following year's awards.
Hey, you really, really like that match Okada's going to be involved with? Vote for it next year in the
write it down and hope you remember.
Write it down and hope you remember for the 2022
speaking of
Keepin It Strong Style Awards.
Speaking of Okada, we had some more comments from him revolving the G1 win and the return of the V4 IWGP heavyweight title. So he said, "This belt has been important to me, and that is my connection to Abushi while I wait for him to come back. He retired the belt, and it isn't being used right now, so why not? In the past, G1 winners had a briefcase. I'll have a belt. I'm not calling myself the IWGP champion, but I'll have the belt until Abushi comes back," he said. When he's asked if he would hold both belts, should he win the IWGP World Heavyweight title at Wrestle Kingdom, Okada replied, "No, I'm not going to go for any convoluted stuff. All this is right now is I want to protect the belt like it was my contract briefcase. And after that, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it. I mean, at the end of the day, briefcases for a G1 champion, pretty old hat, wouldn't you say? A briefcase really wouldn't match my ring gear right now either. I think it's easier for casual fans to understand that winning the G1 makes you important, makes you a leader, and gives you the responsibility to fire things up. Even though I'm not an IWGP champion, I aim to be more important than the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, on another level, you might say." And speaking about Shingo, Okada said,
"Bro, he's like he's like a fuck boy, bro. He's the most toxic fucking talker ever. Like, everything he says is like one way and then the other way. Like, this shit that he's saying doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Like, listen, as someone who went on an extensive Tinder World Tour in my single days, I know about talking out of both sides of my mouth, and that's exactly what this dude's doing right now.
Yeah, dude, like, oh, I'm not the champion, but I'm more important than the champion. Like, what?
Listen, that shit wouldn't go in my ring gear anyway. Like, he literally is giving every excuse for why he needs to hold it. I'm not the IWGP champion, but I'm gonna hold this belt anyways. Cause a briefcase, come on, dog. But like, am I holding it? You know, I don't want to convolute anything, but you know, if I win in the Tokyo Dome, when we cross that bridge, we'll get there. We'll see what happens.
I don't want to convolute anything, but I'm going to introduce this new title, bring back a title.
This sounds like a douchebag, right? Who's been hooking up with a girl or guy or whatever, hooking up with somebody, and then they get that fateful talk. What are we? Oh, well,
well, I mean, I don't like putting labels on anything, you know?
I told you in the beginning that I wasn't, emotionally ready for anything too serious, but I do like you a lot. I want to keep seeing you, like, but I'm just not ready to put a label on. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Just say you want to bring the IWGP title back.
You're right. So when he was asked about Shingo, he said, "Do your job as champion. Fire things up in your own way. Look, in 2012, I was the first one to have a contract for Wrestle Kingdom made after I won the G1. Since then, the winner got a shot. But now, winning my first G1 in 7 years, I felt like, no, being the G1 winner is being a champion in its own right." Look, this thing of G1 equal IWGP Championship Challenge has been something people have taken for granted for the last few years now. But winning the G1, being a G1 winner, that's being a champion and in of itself. Takagi should believe in himself more, fight like a champion, have the fans believe that he and the world title really is the be-all and end-all. It's weird that he seems scared by it all. Let's keep in mind that Shingo beat this man twice this year. And then he finally says, "Look, I lost to the IWGP Intercontinental Champion back in the day. That's why I really want to carry myself as the G1 champion, not the World Heavyweight Challenger. I don't think that I will lose out of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think the G1 is as important as the world title. I think it's more important than the world title. After all, the world champion was in that tournament, but he didn't win. I did. That's why I said backstage that he should be challenging me, not the other way around. At the end of the day, I want to dispel the idea that winning the G1 makes you a challenger. After all, the G1 only comes once a year. I might have said all sorts of things when I was IWGP Heavyweight Champion, but that was then. This is now. I plan to be doing my job as champion, and if the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion does the same, well, that can only be a good thing." So then Boots and Burns asks, he says, "Okada recently said that during the pandemic, he wanted to experiment and turn a negative into a positive. I wouldn't say introducing the KLPW trophy using the money clip and adding a third title into the already messy main event scene is a positive. What do you think?"
That's what I think. I give my, hats off to you, Boots and Burns. I agree with everything that you just said there, because this man, Okada, although he may be a great wrestler, and although he may be one of the greatest of his generation, he's a fucking grifter, okay? The IWGP heavyweight title is a grift, all right? And also, he's gaslighting Shingo Takagi. This is some toxic shit right here. I don't know if you noticed. Talking about he needs to get fired up. This man carried this company on his back.
Bro, Shingo is the freaking wrestler of the year, bro.
When Okada was off doing God knows what, Shingo was carrying this company. He's like, well, I don't know, man. Maybe you should try to fire up like me.
And Shingo beat him twice this year.
Shingo beat his fucking ass. Dude, Okada sounds like maybe some of this is lost in translation, and I might chalk some of it up to that. But dude, the way he's talking, he sounds like a heel, man. And you know what? I bet you there's people that are listening like, oh, Keepin It Strong Style thinks Okada's going heel. No, I don't. But like, listen to how arrogant these like remarks are. They sound so like just petty, bro. They're toxic, dude. Like,
yeah, and now these comments are starting to sway me away from liking where we're going. Like last week, I kind of had a positive light. Like, yeah, each guy has their own kind of valid reason for calling himself a champion. But if you're gonna go with the route that, well, I'm better than the world champion, like what?
Bro, I already made my extensive remarks about that. I'm not gonna reiterate all those points, but this shit wouldn't have flied if Okada was the world champion, and we all know that shit. Right. Okay? You know, you can't just change the rules mid-game because they don't suit you, you know. Was being the G1 winner or a Grand Prix winner always important? Yes. Was it always more important than being the man, the guy that carried the gold belt around the company? Fuck no. No, it never was. Oh, also, while we're on the discussion of gold belts and G1 winners, how about the other week when we went to Dynamite Live?
Yeah, in Orlando.
In Orlando, some dude was walking around cosplaying as Hulk Hogan. I forgot to bring this up last week on the show, and Rich made the comment, like yelled out to the dude because he was on the ground floor. He was like, "Stop cosplaying as a racist." And me, being sarcastic, turned to Rich and I was like, "A racist former IWGP heavyweight champion, Rich." And some dude behind us turned to me and decided to give me, oh, well, actually, he never was IWGP champion. And I could have easily been like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to? But I didn't. I just turned, no, yeah, he was. And he goes, well, no, what he won was actually the G1. It was the equivalent to today's G1. And I was like, no, he was the champion. They gave him a belt. He had to defend it the next year. And he was like, but it's not the same thing as the IWGP title. I was like, dude, I never said it was the same thing as the IWGP title. I was like, why are you in my conversation right now? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I totally missed that conversation. I was on the far end.
Oh, you missed that?
I had no idea that happened.
Yeah, bro. This dude tried to, well, actually me and Rich. And like, Rich was like looking at me like, what the fuck is this dude's problem?
Oh, man.
I just looked at him and I was like, bro, you have no fucking idea, right?
Talking to one half of the ace of podcasts. Mark,
bitch. Anyway, so Okada sucks, so let's move on.
Let's do our power struggle prediction. So power struggle is...
No, but for real, before we do that, this really does make you feel like less optimistic about the whole triple gold dash?
Yeah, because like I said last week, all right, each guy has their valid reasons for why they're a champion. Shingo's the actual champ. Ospreay never lost it. Okada won the G1. He wants a prize to, symbolize he won the G1. Fine. But this whole, oh, well, my prize is better than the world title. Now, keep in mind, like, Ospreay's not saying his title's quote-unquote better. Like, he just thinks he is the world champion. So Shingo and Ospreay...
He's the real world champion. He never got beat by Shingo.
Right. So they're kind of like on the same level. Well, Okada's saying he's above both of them, that his title that he just brought out is better and more important than the world championship, which to me devalues Shingo even more.
It don't matter. Real ones know what the deal is with Shingo. He beat that ass all year. So,
So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see where they go. But yeah, I'm losing some optimism here.
Try to tell you. So yeah, Power Struggle. This is coming up Saturday, November the 6th, 4 a.m. Eastern Time on NJPW World. We have a stacked card. Jeremy, take us through it. Let's give people, for the first time in literally, it feels like years, a nine match card in the middle. That's not a Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
That is full of no bullshit. It's just a straight up classic, strong New Japan show.
Yeah, it's a very strong show. So we'll start with the opening contest. We're going to have Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Doki taking on Ryohei Oiwa and Kosei Fujita.
Oh, this is easy. I mean, Kanemaru is great, but his best years are behind him back in Noah. And Doki, he's a fucking, grifter from Mexico. Oiwa and Fujita are the truth. They're real wrestlers. They're real shooters. They're going to fuck these dudes up and shock the world. I'm riding with the young boys.
Oh, man, that would be a pretty crazy, like, if they just pulled a crazy upset like that.
I don't even know what we would do. We'd be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, Kanemaru's going to hit one of them. What's Kanemaru's finisher anyways?
The deep impact, the DT off the top rope.
He's going to hit a deep impact on, I'm going to say Fujita, and put these, punks to bed.
Yeah, Suzuki getting the win here. I would like to see Doki pick up the win, but we'll see what happens.
I would like Doki to win too. What's Doki? The Doki Choki, but what's his real finisher?
That German thing he does. I forget what it called. It's like some Spanish name. It's like moon suplex. Something I forget. But
see, Jeremy's the moves guy on the show. Like, if it came down, the two things that I'm not good at that Jeremy's good at are moves, finishing moves, and theme songs. Like, you can literally play me almost any New Japan theme song, and I'm not gonna know who the fuck it's for.
Yeah, you hear the coin drop, and you're like, Naito. Yeah, I'm trying to look up. Oh yeah, there it is. Suplex de la Luna. It's that bridging wheelbarrow dragon suplex that he does.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, Suzuki Gun's going to pick up the win. And that's probably going to take them into the Super Junior Tag League soon, right?
Well, Best Super Juniors starting.
Did the Junior Tag League that already happened months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. This year's been a mess.
It has been.
So after that, we got the Unchained Gorilla, Togi Makabe, Tomoaki Hanma, Tiger Mask. They're taking on the team of the Bullet Club, Tangaloa, Gato, and Jado. And when we're talking Bullet Club, we're talking the A team of Bullet Club here.
OGs.
Yeah, the OGs.
We'll have Makabe coming out all taped up. Tiger Mask now one half of the Junior Tag Team Champs. I mean, you got
any chance that Gato and Jado win over Tiger Mask to set up a title challenge for him and Robbie Eagles?
You could do that. I wouldn't do that. I have a hard time seeing Gato or Jado getting the win here. But I mean, you could have
There's a lot of things that have happened in this company in the last 12 months that I wouldn't do.
Right. You could have Tangaloa easily hit an ape shit on Hanma and get the win for the Bullet Club side.
I mean, you could, but what's the point? Like, the G1 already happened, and, dude kind of shit the bed, so I don't know what to tell you.
You got to heat him up for World Tag League.
I guess that's true.
I don't know. I'm going to go with Makabe, Hanma, and Tiger Mask.
Via what method?
Like,
convince me here.
Now that I think about it, man, I'm looking like who would win on that side?
It'd have to be Makabe.
It could be Tiger Mask if you want to make dominant junior tag champ. You could have Tiger Mask.
They don't give a fuck about those belts. It's got to be Makabe. Makabe is on a cooking show. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's go then. Makabe, King Kong knee drop on Gato or Jado.
I'm gonna take because it doesn't matter. Tangaloa. He's gonna hit Tomoaki Hanma with the ape shit. The one person that you're like, God, I don't want to see take this move. It's gonna be him. That's what's happening.
So then after that, we got Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata teaming up with Ryusuke Taguchi and Master Wato, and they will take on the LIJ team of Sanada, Hiromu Takahashi, and Bushi.
Takahashi in the shorts.
Yeah, he's been rocking the shorts on those Road 2 shows, new look.
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm just inclined to go like LIJ because like what the fuck are we gonna do with like that Hante group, you know?
Right. I mean, the only thing, again, if they want to do an upset, give Taguchi. Well, I guess no. I'm thinking tag league again.
You could have Taguchi or Wato beat Hiromu,
right,
to really give some heat going into World Tag League or into. See, this is why I don't fucking like that they got World Tag League and Super Junior or Best Super Juniors like linked as one like thing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Intrinsically, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think LIJ will probably just end up getting the win here.
Well, you convinced me. I'm going with a lot of shock upsets here, so I'm going to say...
Wato hitting the RPP on Hiromu.
Wato hits the RPP on Bushi. Fuck him.
Oh, man.
So let's talk about a match that actually has some real stakes and some real, implications.
Yes, the never openweight 6-man tag team championship match. The champions, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi, will defend their coveted titles against the House of Torture, Evil, Yuro Takahashi, and Sho.
I don't know why you refer to them that way. They're Bullet Club through and through, okay?
They are the House of Torture unit of the Bullet Club.
Yeah, and they're too sweet, okay?
Ain't nothing sweet about that unit.
Nobody talked this way about the fucking Elite when they were part of the Bullet Club, okay? I think the time has come for the legendary title reign of Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi, which, by the way, my picks for tag team of the year.
Yeah, I mean, they have a pretty strong case. Yeah, I have a hard time seeing anybody beating them.
They have a fucking strong case. I bet this is going to be like that time when Trump should have won, but Biden fucking stole the election.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just joking.
I started laughing because I thought you were going to go back to like when
when Hillary?
No, when War Raiders should have won Tag Team of the Year, but Young Bucks won, but then you went political.
Just to be clear, like I'm pretty much a libertarian. I don't fucking like Donald Trump. But if you guys haven't seen it, the documentary on HBO Max about the January 6th insurrection is mind-blowing. There's, like, obviously we all followed it and saw it, but, like, the footage that they show is stuff I've never seen, and it's fucking scary. So that's a big recommend for me. If you haven't seen that, go out of your way to check it out. But back to the matter at hand. This man Evil, he was the never 6-man champion just prior to vacating the belts when he jumped ship to Bull Club. When that happened, it prompted a tag title tournament to take place, and Goto and Ishii and Yoshihashi won the title in dramatic fashion, beating out the other Chaos team, which included Okada at the time, which was very emotional, seeing Yoshihashi win the belts for the first time. And since then, they've gone on a slew of legendary title defenses, big Cork and Hall main events, time and time again. They've knocked it out of the park. I don't think they've had a single actually bad title defense with the never 6-man titles.
No, so, I think like the minimum 3.5, and then
and I think that involved a match that had Gato and Jado both in it, and it was still like very passable, So these guys have fucking killed it, but the time has come after over a year to finally pass those belts off to a team that needs it, and I think Evil, Yujiro, and Sho are that team to defeat them. You're talking about two guys that just came off of the G1 and another guy that's going to be the junior ace of this sub-collective group who defected to the Bull Club just recently and is going into his first Super Juniors as a heel. I'm pretty sure, considering all the shenanigans, all the heeldom, all the shit that's, pretty much plagued New Japan since COVID started, this team's picking up the win, hook or crook.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think House of Torture Unit will become the new Never Openweight 6-man champions this weekend. We've seen all the reports and stories of, Dick Togo wanting to give this group the push, and he was, lobbying for Evil to win the world title and also to bring Show into the unit. So, gotta throw these guys a bone here, and, Dick Togo's probably, give us something. And so these guys are going to get the 6-man belts, heat them up, heat up Evil Yujiro, like you mentioned, Show as he goes into Best of Super Juniors. I'm going to guess Evil and Yujiro will be a team in the World Tag League, so you heat those guys up as well.
Here's the upside. Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi, they've fulfilled their, portion of the bargain. They've gone out there and really elevated these titles, made them something meaningful, to the point where you've got two studs in, for better or for worse, Evil, a guy who's upper mid-card, and then Show, a guy who's poised to do big things in the Junior division. And now these titles can kind of befit their role. And at the same time, if you're, not necessarily fans of those guys, it gives them something to kind of do on the side without needing Evil to occupy the IWGP heavyweight title scene or Show to kind of be in play to be the winner of the Super Juniors or whatever, So I think there's a silver lining to all this. Plus, Ishii, Goto, and Yoshihashi are kind of relieved of that duty. They've served their sentence, and now they can kind of figure out what's next on the horizon for each and every single one of them collectively,
Right, you can throw those guys in a U.S. picture. Also, Ishii's got a never title match coming up at Battle in the Valley. There's a lot of things you can do with those guys with them dropping the 6-man titles.
And, to me, the guy that comes out of it the strongest in a certain sense is Ishii. He's got that never title challenge coming up. We'll talk about that later. But Yoshihashi comes out of it very, very strong. Many of the stories and, stories of the matches and title defenses that they had were kind of, centered around him. And it just shows how highly regarded this title reign was held, in the sense that, it's fourth from the bottom, and we're, spending a lot of time discussing it. So, This kind of was a really meaningful title reign. Yeah,
and so definitely going to miss the reign, but looking forward to see what those guys can do in more single role. And like you mentioned, it kind of keeps House of Torture kind of in the little never 6-man division, their own little bubble, and kind of keeping them out of the more important main events.
And hey, if they beat Evil and Show, fuck them, we ball,
So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. It doesn't matter.
So next we have the provisional KOP.
I like to see House of Torture do the same shit that Chaos did for the last year. You know what I'm saying? Following these footsteps, bitch.
Yeah, some big boots to fill. So next up, the provisional KOPW 2021 matchup. The votes were in. The fans have voted for a shoot. They want to see some real ass wrestling. They want to see.
You guys don't know, that was Jeremy's gimmick when he was part of what was it?
GUW, Global Underground Wrestling.
Global Underground Wrestling. If you guys want to go to fucking YouTube, and trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Type in John Juris, you'll find.
If you look up John Juris on YouTube, you will find fucking gold. John Juris equals Layla Hirsch.
Yes.
Same gimmick. Real ass shooter, real ass wrestling.
Yes, and we're getting an amateur rules match between Yano and the Great Okan for the KOPW 2021 provisional trophy.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. You look at the backgrounds of both of these guys. Both of them have an extensive history when it comes to, the catch as catch can, the amateur folk style, This man, Great Okan, he uses a lot of gimmickry, but sambo, judo, amateur wrestling. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of pulling for Toru Yano, but I think he might have bit off more than he could chew with Great-O-Khan. I mean, we look back at his young boy days, and this man can really fucking wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, Yano was a former amateur wrestler, former heavyweight back in the day, and so, I mean, both these guys have very good amateur grappling background, so if they make this a legit contest, like, this could actually end up being decent.
Here's the thing. What it's going to end up being, it's going to, based on the fact that both of them are so character driven and gimmick heavy, it's going to be some bullshit.
Yeah.
But if we got like amateur wrestling, like fucking
Olympic, both men come out in singlets and headgear.
if these dudes came out with like singlets and headgear and like mouthpieces and seconds, and they like had towels around their neck and fucking like water bottles like squirting over their heads and shit, I would love for like someone to like circle off the cerulean blue.
Yeah.
And like do the like minus check so they know like the absolute center of the ring is. Yeah, and they wrestle like in the points style matchup.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like what we're gonna do with like the time limit, because like in a high school amateur, for us here in the States high school, it's a 6 minutes time limit. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do like a 6 minute match. So worst case scenario, it's gonna be short if it ends up being more gimmicky.
Well, I mean, you're referencing the States, but do we know that those are the rules in Japan?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they're going to do, what the amateur rules are in Japan.
I don't know either. I know that they have like a East All City and West All City and like All National. Those are like, some of the parameters that they have when it comes to amateur wrestling, but I don't really know the rules when it comes to that. I don't know as much about like amateur wrestling as say you do, because being a practitioner yourself, you know more about it than I do. But I've looked into the differences between like collegiate wrestling versus like Greco-Roman
and folk style and freestyle
and folk style. So I mean, there's a lot of different rules. I mean, there's some styles that require like 2 count, like shoulders down. Some require 1. Some, an over the head spike throw is illegal, some are not. So it's really hard to tell like what rule parameters they're going to be using.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, part of me like would love to see just like a fucking like amateur style Greco-Roman, like these
just
guys
go for it,
war,
busting out sit outs or cross facing, gator rolling, like.
Basically, I want to see them do what Oiwa and Fujita do every time they wrestle.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be the best case scenario.
But they're not going to. So
right.
It's going to be some shit where like they start like amateur wrestling and then it's going to devolve into like Okan doing the claw.
Right. Like the refs, somehow the ref's going to get bumped and Okan's going to put him on a claw or something.
This man's gonna get bumped, and then like fucking Yano's gonna like hit him with the fucking low blow, and then roll him up. So I don't know what to expect there. It's 5th from the top, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Yano just because Okan will probably be in tag league until you don't really need him with KLPW.
Fuck it, I roll with Okan. My boy, Oka.
Now let's look at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match.
And I'm going to call the way he beats him too. Midnight Ride. He's going to hit him with the banana split.
Banana split. So up next, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Robbie Eagles will defend his championship against El Desperado. So we saw in the build of this match that Eagles in Tiger Mask beat Despy and Kamaru to get the junior tag title. So Robbie 2 belts right now going into this match with Despy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to corral this dog.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I get left in the I have an office, but it doubles as the dog's room as well. And so oftentimes when I'm working, which means podcasting, I got to watch the dog because my girlfriend will go off and like I said, she does hot works, So anyways, he's kind of, roaming around. I'm just trying to make sure little guy's okay. As far as this match goes, though, it's very interesting because we have a situation where, like, Robbie Eagles, super deserving as junior champion, but at the same time, this is his first kind of, like, rodeo, even though he's a double champion, everything like that. We had a guy in Desperado earlier this year. People were calling him a breakout star. Double champion. He had that giant, Budokan. Was it Budokan Hall?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah.
I think it was Budokan Hall.
Maybe it was Sumo. I don't remember. But, like, earlier at the beginning of the year, him and Hiromu tore the house down G1 Super Junior Finals. He even challenged for the double gold titles when that was still a thing at the anniversary show against fucking Abushi. So the tables have kind of turned quite a bit, where you kind of got Desperado on the outsides. People are kind of calling this year for being like the year of Desperado, him sort of being like an established guy, and very quickly that kind of shifted. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the guy that beat him for the belt was Robbie Eagles, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of a rematch that's been building for quite a while, and it's happening right as we head into Super Juniors. And that's very telling, because regardless of who wins, I can tell you one of two things. Whoever wins is not winning Super Juniors, and whoever loses is not winning Super Juniors. Regardless of the outcome of this match, neither participant is going to win the Super Juniors, but the difference is going to be whoever walks out of the match as the champion, that will be the person that wins the tournament gets to challenge against. The other guy will be the guy that's just kind of SOL at that point, basically.
Right, and you also got to think whoever is going to be the champion going into that tour is probably going to be in a lot of main events on that tour, and you got to look at these guys. Who is the guy that's probably going to draw more in the main events? And for me, I think it'll probably be El Desperado. And no offense to Robbie Eagles, he's a great worker, has done great work, but obviously he's a gaijin. He hasn't had that main event experience and that star power. I feel like Desperado has gotten that push. He was in that main event, like you mentioned, with Abushi. He had that awesome match with Hiromu. It's kind of been a slow, ascent for Desperado, and I think putting him on top in the main events in this tour will probably be more something they would do than putting Eagles in a lot of main events.
So you think that they're going to go with Desperado heading into the Super Juniors over Robbie Eagles?
Yeah, I could see it, Hiromu potentially winning Super Juniors again, and then you do Hiromu challenging Despy for the title at Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, I agree with what you're putting out there, but let's keep in mind, again, 3 days of Wrestle Kingdom. We don't know how that's going to affect the junior title scene, much in the same way as we didn't know how 2 days was going to affect last year. We ended up with Phantasmo and Ishimori kind of doing a dual challenge against Hiromu.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to expect going into Dome season this year. And I do think that there is a chance, obviously, that we end up with some sort of, well, it's a single block tournament anyways, right?
Right.
So regardless, we're still going to end up with a rematch between Hiromu and Desperado either way. But on the big stage, that kind of remains to be determined. My question to you is, okay, Robbie drops the belt here to Desperado. What was the point of the stopgap between him winning the belt and then dropping it here just before going into the Super Juniors? And sort of what's the benefit? What was the reason for it, and what do you see being his trajectory going out of that?
I think the reason that they do see him as a future junior star, and somebody to kind of fill in that Will Ospreay kind of gaijin role, and kind of giving him his first reign and first run with the title. I think it's kind of get that accolade under his belt, and then normally sometimes first title reigns aren't always that long or that successful, and so I think they're going to use this kind of experience, and then later down the road have another title reign that's probably longer and better.
So this was sort of his establishing title reign to kind of heat him up, and then you think he's going to be a long-term stalwart of the division afterwards.
Right. I think it gave him some credibility. So when he's in the Best of Super Juniors, people can be like, oh, well, he was just a champion. So, yeah, it makes sense for him to score very high. I could see him beating, being Desperado again. I could see him beating Hiromu again. I can see him beating some more of these guys. Remember last year, Super Juniors, he was like a very kind of 50-50 kind of lower end of the block. And so this year, I think
he didn't even have very many main events or anything like that. He was sort of in that Jonathan Gresham middle of the card 16-minute stretch sort of role.
Right. And so now I think even though he won't be the champion, he'll probably be in more like semi-main, maybe some main events, but he's more credible to beat people after just being a champion. That's
true. I mean, do you think that them switching the junior tag team titles to him recently was a way to sort of transition the main belt off of him? Or do you think that bolsters him and means that, maybe you should reconsider the fact that he might not be dropping this belt because they've got the double titles on him?
Right. I mean, honestly, yeah, this match could go either way, but I think with him getting the junior tag titles, then you can kind of get him and Tiger Mask once this tournament's over as junior tag champs. Or what you could do is if Despy wins, now Despy's obviously, he beat Robbie, he's probably going to be in line now for a junior tag title match, so that sets up a rematch for Despy and Kanemaru.
Yeah, I see what you're saying when it comes to, I think a lot of people are favoring Hiromu to win the whole thing. And if they do, having that dance partner in Desperado makes a lot of sense, given their history in this tournament just last year. But at the same time, the one thing that gives me pause is how New Japan has leveraged the junior tag team titles as a way to sort of book the actual IWGP junior title all year long.
Right.
And it makes me kind of wonder if they're willing to depart from that sort of booking method, because if they're not, that would tell me off the bat that Robbie is probably going to retain and go into the tournament as the champion. And there's a part of me that thinks that wouldn't be the worst idea, because even if Desperado didn't win the tournament, there's a way to book him in the tournament in a way, given the fact that Wrestle Kingdom again is 3 days, you could still wind up with him and Hiromu facing off in some meaningful way, given the fact that they got to fill those 3 days, with something. So I just don't know what to expect, and that makes me feel a lot less confident about the booking decision going forward. The other thing too, if Robbie Eagles beats him again, that's 2 in a row where it sort of feels like he sort of has Desperado's number. I think, against my better judgment, I'm going to roll with you. I think I am going to go with Desperado.
No, I mean, let's make it interesting. You go with Robbie, I'll go with Despy.
No, because that's not how my heart feels right now. I do think it makes a lot more logical sense. It's just the one thing that really throws off all my predictions, and I've said it again and again, 3 days of Wrestle Kingdom, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Right, yeah. And we have no signs of a Super J Cup in the U.S. right now either. So
yeah, so I don't know what to expect. So, I don't know. I'll go with Desperado.
Alrighty.
But I want to throw out all the, that's what we do. We analyze.
Right.
We give everybody all the, potential outcomes. So, yeah, this is a tough one. This is a 50-50, in my opinion.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going Despy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Eagles won.
I was surprised when Eagle beat him for the title initially.
Yeah.
But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised either way. It really is a toss-up.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm thinking we could end up probably with a Robbie Hiromu final, since Robbie beat Hiromu for the belt, and Hiromu can get his like win back on Robbie in the finals, and then face Despy at Wrestle Kingdom.
I know that we hold Super Juniors in really high regard, just given the history of it. But bro, with how casually they've handled that tournament, especially making it a single block and kind of just, dude, anytime they do single block, it makes me feel like the chances of a triple threat are on the table.
Oh yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we wind up with a Robbie Hiromu Desperado triple threat.
Yeah.
And then somehow that ends up playing into Wrestle Kingdom. I hope whoever runs the Social Suplex, social media like stuff is kind of cataloging this now and can play it 2 months from now when January 4th, 5th, and whatever 7th pops up. So they can hear that I called this shit way ahead of time. Because that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that could be like a round robin of matches for each night or something like that. I don't know.
And who knows how the fuck this all affects, Phantasmo, Ishimori, that sort of shit.
Right. Well, following that championship match, we'll have another title match with the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, as the champion, Hiroshi Tanahashi, will defend against Kenta.
That's a tough one. The last time they faced off Tanahashi for the title, Tanahashi beat Kenta, but did Kenta beat him in the G1, right?
I think they were in separate blocks.
Separate blocks, okay. I just wasn't sure how Kenta even came upon getting this title shot. That's the usual way.
It happened in the multi-man tag on the final day. Like, Kenta pretty much jumped Chase in line and challenged Tanahashi.
I saw that, but I didn't think that alone was enough. I didn't think that alone was enough to warrant a title shot.
Yeah, because Kenta was in A block and Tanahashi was in B block.
So you tell me that this man Chase pinned Tanahashi clean. But Kenta said, move over, bitch, get out the way.
Yes, they used Chase to set up a Kenta title match.
Oh, man. I'm going to ride with the ace because I ride with the ace, and that's what I do. And, yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kenta won, but fuck it. Kenta or Tanahashi, we ball.
Yeah, I'm going to ride with the ace too, but like you said earlier, we got to throw out all the scenarios and why people could win, and I do think there's a very good chance of Kenta winning just because he's been chasing this belt for so long now. He won that initial New Japan Cup USA, had the red briefcase, defended that briefcase several times, and finally got that match with Moxley and came up short. So, the U.S. title has been in his sights for quite some time now and hasn't got shot at it. And Kenta is a guy that could easily, he lives in Florida, could come in, be on Strong, show up on these Battle in the Valley type shows and, be the U.S. champ and have defenses there.
But it would be some funny shit. You know how, like, some people are just perennial chasers?
Yeah.
What if, like, the story of, like, Kenta's New Japan career, it's not that he's chasing the IWGP title, although he's had a shot at it. It's the fact that this man can't win that fucking red belt, no matter what the fuck he does. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. But yeah, I think Tanahashi's going to win just because there is, hopes of getting guys into the country, and there is the Moxley Tanahashi match that's on the table. So if the stars align and things work out, maybe we see Moxley versus Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom for the belt.
So you're telling me Moxley's going to win this fucking red belt back and start defending it on Dynamites again?
Never said he would beat Tanahashi, but the match would happen.
Moxley defending the red belt on Defy.
Yeah, I mean, Moxley, he's all over the place. Defy, GCW.
We're gonna get some sort of Moxley red belt defense in fucking like Dublin for like Triple Mania or some shit, or not Triple Mania. What are they called?
The OTT Mania thing.
Yeah, OTT Mania and shit.
But yeah, and I mean, also Moxley's been on Strong. He's been on these New Japan US pay-per-views. He could, if he wants belt back, if the dates work out, he could be featured on Strong and on those, Battle and Valley Resurgence type shows.
Hey, not for nothing, I've really enjoyed every Kenta versus Tanahashi match that has happened in New Japan. Contemporaries from the same generation, basically at one point considered essentially a dream match, and I don't think that they've ever really failed to deliver.
Yeah, I've enjoyed all the matches. I've always thought probably the lowest match is probably 4 stars, maybe 3.75, depending how hard or greater you are. But
right.
The one thing that worries me is just Kenta's performance in the G1. He did have some great matches. The Zack match was great, but a lot of his matches were filled with shenanigans, and he didn't wrestle that hard. And maybe that's just him saving his body, but hopefully this being a title match and Tanahashi and Kenta, that they will continue to deliver like they always do.
Well, if history tells us anything different, that's how it will turn out. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking forward to it regardless. And we'll see what happens. But the next match, big stakes as the IWGP Heavyweight title is on the line. The right to challenge for the IWGP title at Wrestle Kingdom. The Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada versus Tama Tonga.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty cut and dry. Okada is winning this. They did a pretty bad job on the follow-up of Tama Tonga getting the upset win. They didn't do they had these 3 Road 2 shows last week that they really didn't heat him up, or even on the final show. And even his final match, he lost to Goto on the final block night. So they didn't do a great job.
Bro, it makes no sense.
Did not do a good job of heating this man up for this matchup. So, the G1 match that they had was very good, near 4 stars. And they'll probably have another very good match here. But, I mean, Rainmaker all day.
I agree with you. I would like to do the funny bit where I disagree, tell you all the reasons Tama Tonga is going to win, but, fuck all that. It's a 3-hour show. We got to move on. Rainmaker's going to roll. And, quote unquote, heat things up as he mentioned.
Right. Establish that he is better than the world champion.
Yeah, I can't wait till he upstages Shingo Takagi and Zack Sabre Jr. with Tama Tonga on the 6th. It's going to be so cool when the Rainmaker just fucking upstages Shingo Takagi.
Yeah.
Also, if you told me in 2015 that there'd be a day where Shingo Takagi was the world champion of New Japan and he was headlining above Okada in the semi-main event, I would have told you were fucking lying. Or if you told me that he'd beat Okada twice in the same calendar year, there's no way that could possibly happen.
Oh man, but yeah,
it's one of the most bizarre things. It's such a bizarre thing to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because dude, even think about this 2019 when Shingo first came in, and after his first G1, we were kind of yeah, Shingo's probably just going to be a never guy for the rest of his New Japan run. And
I mean, we were talking about he should be a world champion, but it will never happen.
Yeah, he's the new Goto. He'll challenge, he'll be the never champ, but he'll never be the world champion.
God, were we wrong? Well, that's gonna bring us into the main event.
Yeah, Shingo defending that IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. Sabre tapped out Shingo in the G1 with that arm bar. And this is going to be a great main event.
I just don't see how or why Shingo would have been able to adjust to the onslaught of Zack Sabre Jr.'s submission game. ZSJ, the first ever. No. Second ever British world title holder.
I don't think they're flipping the belt here to Mr. ZSJ. I think obviously with the whole triple crown, triple gold dash storyline, obviously Shingo I think is going to be a very big part of that. and Shingo's going to get revenge here, get the win back over Zack Sabre Jr.
No, it's going to be important for Zack to carry in the IWGP World title when he goes and defends that title in a unification bout against Will Ospreay and Your Call for Rev Pro. So that's what's really happening. People, I'm ahead right now.
What's going to happen is they're going to announce a fourth night of Wrestle Kingdom, but it'll be in the UK, and so it'll all culminate in Sabre versus Ospreay.
I can't wait for them to start doing the Wrestle Kingdom tour, which extends from January 4th all the way to right up before New Beginning.
Yeah.
We have 15 nights of Wrestle Kingdom tour.
Right. You have a bunch of Road to Wrestle Kingdoms and then 5 Wrestle Kingdom shows.
Yeah. Wrestle Kingdom in Yokohama, Wrestle Kingdom in...
Right. Then they're going to do the WWE thing where they just add it on to stuff. It'll be like Power Struggle Wrestle Kingdom or the New Beginning of Wrestle Kingdom.
We're going into their 50th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
The whole year's Wrestle Kingdom.
Destruction Wrestle Kingdom.
G1 Night 15 Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom in USA.
Wrestle Kingdom in USA, Sacramento specifically. Oh man. Anyway, so Shingo, he's going to retain his belt against ZSJ. ZSJ is going to go back to the tag division. And then, we're going to start talking about Okada, Shingo, and Will Ospreay. And I do assume, though, given the history between these two guys and how great their previous match was and everything they left on the table, Shingo versus ZSJ is probably going to be match of the night. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a late year-end match of the year contender.
Yeah, slide in right there at the cutoff. Definitely could happen.
Some coffee's fast, but not fresh. Some coffee's fresh, but only after a long wait. Speedway coffee is made fresh at the push of a button, hot or iced, so you can have fresh coffee your way, right away. Get 2 times the points when you buy any size hot or iced coffee drink with Speedy Rewards.
What you want is sometimes far from what you get. At Harry Ritchie's, we want you to get the heart-stopping, high-fiving diamond gift you want and pay for it the way you want. Our in-house financing lets you make payments that fit your budget and your life. Plus, at Harry Ritchie's, our jewelry is priced at an everyday, real price. That means you get all of the dazzle with none of the haggling. More boom for your buck. Now open at Clackamas Promenade. Harry Ritchie's, truly you.
We had a question here from Rainbow and Slam Pig. It says, the historic run of the Chaos unit with the Never Six-Man titles could soon end. So I'm wondering, what are the greatest title reigns in NJPW history? Are they mostly centered on the world title, or does each title have a significant reign associated with it?
Man, what a great question. I'll go into the historic stuff, but I know you probably have a couple historic title reigns, that come to mind just in the more recent, history of New Japan.
Well, obviously the one that comes to mind is Kazuchika Okada's last reign with the IWGP title, where he had that super long reign before he dropped the belt to Kenny.
That comes to mind. When it comes to the IC title, there's one in particular. I don't remember how many, because I think he held it 4 times, but there's a super significant Shinsuke Nakamura title reign. Same thing with Naito. He's got one as well, maybe 1 or 2. With the junior title, Liger has several very legendary title reigns. So does Prince Devitt. So does what's your boy's name?
Koji Kanemoto.
Yeah, Kanemoto's got 1 or 2 that are very historic as well. For the tag titles, Choten, Chono and Tenzan, they've got one. So does Bad Intentions with Carl Anderson and Giant Bernard. I think they've got the longest title reign in history. I could be incorrect on that. It's hard to remember. But I mean, even some of the like for the world title, I mean, you've got Nagata's famous reign. You've got two really famous reigns from Hashimoto. Obviously the one or two with Okada, Tanahashi as well. Some of these reigns are the ones that like you epitomize what that title means and they become synonymous with that individual,
Right.
Even with the WWF Junior Heavyweight title, which was the precursor. I mean, Fujinami had like, I don't know, close to like 4-year reign with that belt. The title reigns of Tiger Mask stand out between his WWF as well as NWA Junior Heavyweight title reigns. I think Kengo Kimura and Fujinami have a very famous title reign as well that kind of predates the IWGP tag team titles. Gato and Jado, they're sort of like this. Their title reign kind of like epitomized the junior title for a long time. So I mean, yeah, even with the never belts, Shibata, Chono, Goto, or not Chono, I'm sorry, Ishii. Like, yeah, you can pretty much like. I think the one belt that never had a truly definitive reign was this never open weight 6-man tag team titles,
Right, now we have that with Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi.
Even the U30 title had Tanahashi's very famous reign.
U.S. title has Jon Moxley.
Would you say that that's like the epitome of that title reign? I don't know. Well, I think Kenny Omega's initial reign too.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of really great defenses during that initial period.
He did, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, New Japan is full of fantastic title reigns, top to bottom across the board. And now this belt has one as well.
Yeah. So next thing we look at, Battle in the Valley is coming up on Saturday, November 13th. We'll do the full predictions for next week, but we had some new matches announced to the card. So we already knew that the main event is the Never Openweight Championship match with Jay White defending against Ishii. If Ishii loses, he can never challenge for the Never title again. Newly added, we got Juice Robinson taking on the new Impact World Champion Moose.
I wonder who's going to win that.
We have the former Impact World Champion Josh Alexander taking on Yuya Uemura.
Any chance we get interactions between Moose and Alexander to kind of further the Impact shit?
We probably can. We've seen Impact and New Japan working together more. Rocky just had an X Division title match last week. Suzuki is doing his run there right now. So we can definitely get some Impact storylines here.
Kind of interesting how that sort of continuing on as the AEW Impact relationship has kind of been put, it's done.
It's done, yeah. So also in this card, we already knew that Will Ospreay will be taking on Ren Narita, and then added Jeff Cobb and TJP of the United Empire. They will take on Carl Fredericks and Clark Connors, so that United Empire LA Dojo feud will continue with those two matches. Then we also have a multi-man, Fred Rosser, Dave Finlay, Rocky Romero, Alex Coughlin, Alex Zane versus all of Team Filthy. And then also added last week, Brody King and Chris Dickinson of Violence Unlimited. They will take on 2/3 of the Stray Dog Army, Bateman and Mysterioso.
Yeah, that's a strong lineup. Some really good additions there to kind of round out that card. That's taking place the same night as the AEW pay-per-view, correct?
Yeah. And there are 3 New Japan shows that day. So World Tag League Super Juniors will be in the morning, and then an episode of Strong will happen at 8, and then Battle in the Valley will air.
So how's that going to work with us and covering it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm probably gonna. I'm gonna watch Full Gear live, so I'll watch World Tag League in the morning, and then on Sunday I'll watch Strong and Battle in the Valley.
Well, the main reason I'm asking is because at this point, I'm pretty much going to be, to the best of my knowledge, hosting the pay-per-view. And I'm just wondering, when is Battle of the Valley actually airing?
So it's starting like either 7 or 8 Pacific time.
So, okay, so that's like, if it's 7, that's like 10 our time?
Yeah.
So it might be going on. Is it going on at the same time as the AEW pay-per-view or after?
So Full Gear will probably start, I think, their pay-per-view start what, like 8 Eastern, I think? Pre-show will probably start 7 Eastern.
Something like that.
Yeah. So there will be probably some overlap toward when Battle of Valley is starting, and Full Gear will probably be in its last hour, probably.
Okay. So when you guys come over, I don't know if I'm expecting people to stay over like another 2 or 3 hours to watch.
I will not. I will watch that the next day.
See, I'm a little disappointed because I remember when the show they had in London, or was it
Royal
London?
Quest, yeah.
Yeah, Royal Quest was before the AEW pay-per-view, so we were able to kind of like
make a whole day of it
back to back.
Yeah.
Plus, I think we watched that NXT UK show with
we did, yes,
with Walter and Tyler Bate.
Tyler Bate too.
So yeah, so some of this stuff might get, I don't know, pushed to Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We had a question here from Reddit user the_dark_soldier. He says, with Okada showing up for Battle in the Valley, could you see Okada showing up at AEW Dynamite as a surprise, saving Hangman from a beatdown from the Elite, perhaps even having a one-off match like Kenta did?
No. I mean, maybe, but my main thing is like, what relation did he ever have to Hangman Adam Page?
Right. Like, there was none.
Yeah. So, I mean, could I see him showing up in Trent and like Trent's mom's van with best friends? Yes, I could. That would make sense to me.
He would probably really want to do that.
Oh, if you pitch it to him, he'd be all fucking about it, like all day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not expecting him to show up on any sort of Tony Khan, television, but I mean, is it impossible? No. I mean, we've seen precedent, so.
Right. I just feel like Okada's a bigger star than Kenta, and that if you're bringing Okada in, like, it needs to be a built. If you want to do it on TV, fine, but it has to be built, or you need to do it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So then we're going to talk about Autumn Attack, Night 4 this past Saturday on NJPW Strong. So the show opened up. Fred Rosser and our good friend Rocky Romero, they defeated the Team Filthy team of Danny Limelight and JR Kratos. 14 minutes, 40 seconds. Good opening match here. They are building Fred Rosser for another match with Filthy Tom Lawler. So got a win here over some of Filthy's boys here, and they're continuing the build of Fred Rosser.
Yep. After that, we had Leo Rush defeating Taiji Ishimori. 15 minutes, 13 seconds. What'd you think of this match?
Yeah, this was a really, really good matchup here. Also, I wish it would have been, a bigger building, bigger crowd, but I thought the crowd that night was good. Great action here. It's just a junior dream match here. Two of the fastest guys in wrestling facing off. I went about 3.75 on this matchup. Just tons of just great spots, and these guys just mirroring each other and trying to outmaneuver each other. But it all came down to Leo Rush picking up the win over Taiji, which I was very surprised about. Taiji is, a main New Japan roster guy, and I think when this was taped, he was still... No, they dropped the belt before they left. So, I mean, he just lost the junior tag title, so I was thinking, maybe he would get the win over Rush, but yeah, Rush got the win here, so very good matchup.
Nice. And then the main event, we had the tag team of Suzuki-gun, Vestlin Archer, and Minoru Suzuki. They defeated the Team Filthy team of Royce Isaacs and Tom Lawler. 11 minutes, 7 seconds.
Yeah, it was great seeing Archer in a New Japan ring and on Strong. Him and Suzuki are very good together. And, this was a brawling matchup. These guys were brawled over the arena before the bell rang, and then they got in. It was a very hard-hitting match. Suzuki was slapping the crap out of Royce Isaacs. Very hard-hitting match, very intense matchup here. Suzuki ends up getting the win. He hits the gotch pile driver on Royce Isaacs, and then big angle post-match. Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson comes out and challenges Suzuki for Philadelphia, and Suzuki just had one response. Fuck you.
So Saturday's fall lineup, we have another episode of New Japan Strong, the team of Will Ospreay. Oh, actually, is that the opener or is
that's the main?
Okay, so the opener, we got Dave Finlay, Alex Coughlin, and Yuya Yamura taking on the team of JR Kratos, Royce Isaacs, and Jarrell Nelson. Second match of the night, Juice Robinson will take on El Phantasmo in singles action. And then the main event, the United Empire, Will Ospreay and TJP, they take on the LA Dojo team of Carl Fredericks and Clark Connors.
So yeah, it should be a fun episode. This will be the first episode from the Philadelphia tapings, a showdown tour that they did in Philadelphia. And from what I saw on YouTube, it looked like it was better lit, better sound for the crowd, and just looked a little bit more professional than the Dallas show. So looking forward to checking that out.
Nice.
Then we had New Japan revealing the lineup for the November 15th Strong Nation tapings that will be happening in Riverside, California. So we'll have Kevin Knight in the DKC taking on Brogan Finlay and Jordan Clearwater. Leo Rush and Adrian Quest against Bateman and Mysterioso. United Empire, Ospreay, Cobb, TJP against the LA Dojo, Fredericks, Connors, and Ren Narita. Bullet Club team of Jay White and Hikuleo will take on Alex Zane and Chris Dickinson. Then we'll have Josh Barnett making his NJPW return, first time in over 17 years, facing Alex Coughlin in the Coughlin Challenge Series. Then we'll have Jonathan Gresham against Gabriel Kidd, Tomohiro Ishii versus Brody King, and then the Strong Openweight Championship match with Filthy Tom Lawler defending against Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser.
11 years ago, a group of misfits and outsiders from the world of wrestling decided that they're going to flip the script and band together, and they formed the group known as the Nexus. That group's history and story has led us to 2021, where Fred Rosser challenges for the NJPW Strong title against former UFC alumnus Tom Lawler.
Oh man, this is like some Fire Pro stuff.
What kind of Fire Pro shit is this?
We did
Fred
have
Rosser from the WWE is going to wrestle Tom Lawler from the UFC.
One half of the prime time players.
He's going to make the Fed great again. Taking on Tom Lawler, the man that was banned by USADA from fighting in MMA ever again. This is crazy, bro. What kind of timeline are we living in?
We had a question that just came in from Reddit user Hawaiian Punch VV. Says,
that was too late. He can't.
He said, thoughts on Josh Barnett making an appearance on NJPW Strong challenging Alex Coughlin, and who else would like to see him wrestle on the roster?
I'm excited. I do want to point out that I think I made a joke about him competing again.
You did, yeah.
And you kind of made a joke about, the company not being happy with him. And I think, like I mentioned, the interactions between their talent and his branded show with GCW probably did wonders for opening doors for his continued involvement in NJPW.
Yeah, and so I'll see for, future matchups. I think if they can work it out, I mean, him and Jay White, you pay off that angle from that show for where he faced Juice. Do Jay White versus Barnett.
Yeah, but you do it in AEW on Dynamite, and you have, Jim Ross stand ringside as he supports
Barnett. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Long-term storytelling.
Is there any, I'm just trying to think of, now keep in mind, I know that you are probably not as familiar with Josh Barnett's work as I am. Just think he's a shoot style guy. That's it. That's all he does. Is there anyone in New Japan that you, or even just NJPW Strong, that you'd want to see him wrestle?
I think Filthy Tom, Zack Sabre Jr., Jonathan Gresham. Put him in there with Ishii, Brody King, Chris Dickinson.
Yeah. There's some good answers. I would add to it, but I think you took most of them away.
Well, and that's the lineup for Detonation. Now we have a ton of items here in the news. And
we got a lot of questions about this one.
Yeah, and this one, it's New Japan adjacent, but it's pretty big news. So Ring of Honor is going on hiatus. The future of the company and, is in jeopardy. The company as we know it will basically be gone. And this past week they made a decision that they will not be promoting any shows after Final Battle, which will be happening on December 11th. They won't be back until April of 2022. They have released all wrestlers from their contract. Joe Koff informed talent on 10/27 that everyone is being released from their contract at the end of the year, but effective immediately, all talent can start working for other promotions even if they are under contract. So we had a question here from Sumo_Cerebro. What are your thoughts on ROH releasing their entire roster, and which guys would you like to see appear in New Japan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not necessarily like a business expert who could break down all the ongoings between, Ring of Honor and their company throughout this COVID era, and then how that relates to the ongoings of Sinclair Media Group and some of the business decisions they've made with different media conglomerates, things like that. But, it suffices to say we're at the point where they were able to pay everybody that was on the roster all throughout the pandemic and keep the company continuing. But they've now come at a point where they have to restructure because it's literally a money hole. And Sinclair, their parent company, is at kind of a standstill, sort of at a crossroads when it comes to making decisions for what's going to be best for the company. And, probably paying Bandito a 6-figure contract is not amongst those, high priorities for Sinclair Media. So I don't know what to expect going forward, but, effectively, as of now, they pretty much won't have a roster going into the next year. And even when they do start doing shows again, the understanding is that they're going to kind of try to run like an independent with, guys that are unsigned, kind of similar to how they did prior to Sinclair purchasing them.
Right. They're kind of going back to their roots where, you had a lot of the top independent guys, your Bryan Danielsons, your Chris Heroes, your Nigel McGuinnesses, your Samoa Joes, AJ Styles, all these top indie guys, just working a day-by-day basis, kind of having these more kind of bigger shows, not really TV taping. So that's kind of the structure that they're probably going to go back to. And it's going to be interesting to see what does happen with the talent. We've seen a lot of talent already working GCW. Bandito has 3 dates. The Briscoes, they're the GCW Tag Team Champions already. As far as who I can see a pair in New Japan, some of the guys, Bandito, we saw him in Best of Super Juniors 2019. It'd be great to see him. Dragon/Ryu Lee would be great to also get back into New Japan. Jonathan Gresham, who we already are seeing on NJPW Strong.
Yeah, and it's hard to know what's going to happen because some of the guys that are tied to the company, they're superstars that are going to, command a big figure. I'm thinking of someone like Roosh or Dragon Lee. They're going to show up in your major companies. But then you got other guys that, aren't necessarily going to get signed up right away and maybe will be float. Or if they do, it might be to like a smaller minor company like NWA or Impact, something like that.
MLW.
MLW. But it's hard to know what the trajectory of these guys are following ROH. Now, I was talking to Rich earlier this week, and we kind of discussed, and I determined there's maybe 5-6 guys at the most that I actually am concerned with where they end up. And that's not to say that they don't have talent or guys that can offer things. But, when we're talking about New Japan or, one of the other major companies, there's only a few. And I think it's You mentioned a few of them: Dragon Lee, Bandito, Jonathan Gresham. They have Chris Dickinson. He's sort of a freelancer anyways. Brody King, he's kind of already in New Japan. I think there might be one other guy, but that's about it, right?
Yeah, those are pretty much the big hitters, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but there's almost nobody in that company that I'm just like, oh man, if New Japan had them, they'd make a huge difference. Like Bandito and Dragon Lee are some of the best wrestlers in the world by anyone's measure, but in Japan, they're still juniors. And I don't see them like headline, doing G1s. I think they could make a big difference maybe in, say, new NJPW of America, possibly with Strong and things like that. And I think they'd be welcome additions to the junior division. But unless they go on like a full on like Buddy Matthews, like putting on all that extra weight and bulking up, I can't imagine them like facing off with guys like Okada, things like that,
Right. We had a question here from Oscar Rooney. How can New Japan of America capitalize in the downside of ROH other than getting new wrestlers?
I don't think they do, because the one thing that Ring of Honor hasn't disavowed is they're still going to the plan right now is to continue on and operate just under different methods, because the one profitable thing about their business model is the local TV affiliate syndicated television that they have in local markets across the U.S. with Sinclair on Fox. So I'm assuming that the TV is going to continue. If they wouldn't be making the types of announcements that they've made if they didn't intend on some level to continue doing the television, because producing wrestling is so low cost versus the actual benefit and drawings, the ratings that it gets. And I assume it does well in the markets that it's in. So, and New Japan's television deal, they don't have one obviously, but like their strategy in the States is so different with the streaming versus, being tied to a big company the way that ROH is to Sinclair and like on local television with cable. They're just not the same thing at all.
Right.
So I don't really know how it actually benefits them, other than the only thing I could see is there was that cloudiness about, are they tied to ROH or are New Japan free to work with other outside companies like GCW, MLW, AEW, Impact? And I think some of that kind of gets cleared up when this company sort of changes their entire business model and method.
Right. I do one thing I think they can take advantage of. From now until April, those are, several months where Ring of Honor is not going to be running any shows in some of their key markets. I think, obviously, after Detonation, there's nothing planned. If I was New Japan Strong, I would try and hit up some of those hot ROH markets in the first quarter of the year and take advantage of of ROH not running in those territories.
Because they're not touring, maybe that would open up opportunities to sort of fill that gap.
Right, exactly.
That is possible. The only thing is, like, ROH hadn't really been doing so great in a lot of those markets in recent years anyways. So
right.
I don't know how much of a demand there is for, that's the hard part, is when you think of an outside alternative, that role that ROH filled, or like Brit Rez or NJPW, is sort of being filled now by a more accessible product in AEW.
Right.
And I think that's why I didn't bring up the touring stuff, because I don't know how those are going to like play against one another, but there might be a yes, ROH came to Lakeland here in Florida, sometimes multiple times a year, but definitely once a year. And that was usually a big deal. And I would like to go see a show in Lakeland the way we did before. We can't right now. So maybe it would, help New Japan to be able to run in some of those other markets and territories. I don't know.
Yeah. Next question from Rambo and Slam Pigs. With the ROH news coming out, who do you think would be the best fit for the NJPW roster in Japan? Is there anyone you could see making an impact as an upper mid-carder or main eventer almost immediately, or would they all be projects? So we kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, I think most of the top stars that they have are guys that would come in as juniors. They could bring in Roosh. He's got a history at the company, but I don't know. I wouldn't.
I would. I respectfully pass. Question from Muzza. It says, with the ROH news coming out, which 5 members of their roster would you have New Japan go out of their way to sign full-time?
The guys I named.
Yeah, Bandito, Dragon Lee, Gresham. Would you go Brody King?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like
Bandito, Dragon Lee, Gresham, Chris Dickinson, and
Brody King.
Yeah.
Next question from EMJ Does PR. Chris Charlton was hinting the Rush might be debuting sometime soon in New Japan. What does he bring to the table other than Dragon Lee? Because now that I think about it, it might be Leo Rush. Please speculate. So Charlton tweeted out something about hopefully there would be a rush on visas. So is it Roosh or is it Leo Rush that he could be speculating?
Roosh and his whole family.
We're going to get Roosh, Bestial Del Ring, Dragon Lee, Drilistico.
Yup.
I mean, if that's the price we have to pay to get Dragon Lee and Drilistico, then...
Nope. I already got too many years of Dragon Lee for free with no Roosh or Bestia tied to it. So fuck that. You come alone or you don't come at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance it could be Leo, and there's like another new mandate that people could come in for business and only have to do a 3-day quarantine now in Japan. So if there's a way to get the Rush and on those passports to get Leo Rush there for Super Juniors, that would be pretty cool.
Or maybe for like Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. Have a video message throughout the tour and challenge somebody.
I mean, I don't know. Like I've been saying, they got 3 days. So who knows how they set it up. But he could be involved with that show. If I was him, I'd want to be. That's probably one of the bigger payoffs of the year.
Yeah. Then last question here on this topic from Dom Homie 101. With it looking like Ring of Honor is dead, what are some of your guys' favorite ROH moments, ROH matches, and ROH shows? Who are your all-time ROH Mount Rushmore? What would be the lasting legacy of Ring of Honor?
Man, a week ago, I think I was ready to talk about ROH like it was dead. But at this point, I don't necessarily feel that way. There's a part of me that feels like they might try to persist as a hybrid of like what NWA is today versus, or kind of combined with PWG.
Yeah. BPWG East.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I look at all the issues and everything like that they face, and I kind of think about how Gabe Sapolsky hated all those years where he had to rebuild year after year after year. And I feel like whoever's the booker or, whoever's in charge with this new ROH, that's kind of what they're going to be faced with, is guys just getting sucked up by bigger companies forever at this point.
Right.
And trying to turn that into a national television product that's digestible. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think Delirious is the man for that job. I know I'm not. I don't know who could fucking do all that.
I wouldn't want that job, yeah.
But, at the same time, I do think that they're going to try to persist. And I also think, the ROH of my youth has been dead for a long time. It hasn't felt like that same company since like 2010 anyways.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, what are some of your favorite ROH stuff here?
I'll say, first of all, ROH was a very big part in my wrestling fandom in the mid-2000s. And when I started discovering wrestling outside of WWE, that was one of the companies that I stumbled upon and saw a lot of stuff. And, as a legacy of ROH, just the amazing talent pool that came up through that company and that were developed there, and went out into other companies. Obviously, your Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Jay Lethal, Chris Sabin, Shelley. Like, there's so many amazing guys there. And also, my favorite stuff was Nigel McGuinness and his run as champion, his feud with Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson's run there, him being a heel, the small package run, I Have Till 5, some of the earlier Pure Wrestling stuff was great. Joe versus Punk matches, those were all great stuff. Just there's so many great moments, especially kind of like you mentioned, that pre-2010 Ring of Honor. So many great feuds and matches. So there's something that come to mind. And obviously, pre that, the Elite era was pretty great, and the Bucks and Briscoes on all the crazy ladder wars they had. Kevin Owens and Generico. They're crazy for feuds. There's so many great stuff in that ROH vault.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard not to be affected by it or exposed to it, but I wouldn't even go as far as to say I'm the expert when it comes to ROH and their whole history, legacy, or anything like that. But I mean, Jeremy brought up a lot of great points. As far as favorite matches, for me, it's got to be Joe versus Kenta.
Yeah,
that's probably my all-time favorite ROH match. My favorite show, I don't know. That's a tough one. There's I don't know, Driven. That's one of their really good shows from that time period. Some of the Supercards of Honor have been blow away. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer.
Yeah, there's so many.
Who's your ROH Mount Rushmore? I think for me, it's got to be definitely Joe.
Brian's got to be on there.
Definitely Danielson. I think those two are you can't argue against.
Right. I think you got to go Punk.
Possibly, yeah. And then you put the Young Bucks head on as together, both of them conjoined.
Yeah, they count as one.
No, maybe Daniels.
Yeah, you could go Fallen Angel.
Could go Loki.
Yeah.
Homicide.
Yep.
There's some, I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
Yeah, that fourth spot would be tough to
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the one thing I wonder though is what's going to happen with their library and everything like that.
Right. There's been several rumors that the tape library is up for sale for the biggest bidder. So obviously, I think it'd make more sense for AEW to get that. They would get the rights to All In, and you look at their talent roster. Several of their rosters had history in ROH. You could do a lot of cool documentaries and compilations of also guys like Brian and Daniels and the Bucks and Kenny and all that stuff. So,
yeah, we'll see what happens. But I hope ROH continues on. I mean, if you told me in 2011 that by 2021 Impact would be kind of semi-thriving and ROH would be on the brink of shutting down, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. That freaking Impact Wrestling is outlasting Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Well, next news item here. Katsuyori Shibata did an interview with Tokyo Sports and talked about a comeback as a wrestler. He said basically that he wanted to show hope during COVID times for doing the surprise match. He said his desire for a full-time comeback has grown stronger, and he lives his life one step at a time and thinks a comeback is getting closer and that he needs a goal. He said he is not giving up on his dream to wrestle again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's inspiring to kind of see where it goes. I don't know if it means for sure that he's gonna take the jump back into wrestling full time. Although, I mean, again, them doing that match with him and Zach and the comments he made previously show you the intent of him and the company to, basically, restart him as a wrestler. But we'll just have to wait and see at this point, really.
Yeah, I'm hoping he gets cleared, and if he does, it'll be awesome. So in other news, the strong openweight champion, Filthy Tom Lawler, he is no longer under MLW contract. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects him going forward.
It'll be interesting to see how it affects Court Bauer going forward.
Dude, you want to talk about grifters, dude? Freaking Court Bauer's like the biggest grifter of them all.
Not bigger than Okada or Naito.
New Japan has announced a new YouTube series that debuted this past Monday on their English language channel called NJPW Extra, which will primarily be a news and highlight show, according to the announcement. But each week, an exclusive match will air on the show. The November 1st episode featured the dark match from August's Resurgent show from LA, which was Jordan Clearwater, Kevin Knight, and the DKC, taking on the Stray Dog Army, Bateman Mysterioso, and Barrett Brown. Then the November 8th episode will feature Will Ospreay versus Alex Zane from the New Japan Showdown tapings in Philadelphia earlier in October.
Oh, so we get to see that match. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was figuring it was just going to be on Strong, but I guess they're saving it for this NJPW Extra gimmick.
Yeah, that makes business sense.
Yep.
Give away a big match like that on YouTube. Also, I mean, the cool thing with this show, you watch it, you don't have to listen to Keepin It Strong Style anymore.
No, I mean, I saw the first episode. I mean, it was fine. Not a replacement at all. Monday free match of the week, Finjuice versus God from the 2020 World Tag League Finals. So get into it.
Gotta see that match.
Jeff Cobb's returning to Beyond Wrestling on Sunday, November 7th for the Reverse the Curse show in Somerville, Massachusetts, where he will face Wheeler, Utah. Will Ospreay is returning to Warrior Wrestling on December 12th in Tinley Park, Illinois. West Coast Pro Wrestling announced Jeff Cobb versus Chris Dickinson as the main event of the November 12th San Francisco show at the State Room. TJP was in Mexico this past week working Arena Mexico main events on 10/22 and 10/24. On 10/22, he and Templario lost to Volador Jr. and Teton. And on 10/24, he teamed with Cavanario, your man, to beat Atlantis Jr. and Fuegas.
Nice.
We had a crazy fight show coming up here, 11/20, November 20th for Ryzen. 55-year-old comedian Bobby Olagun, who was one of the big draws of Pride during its heyday on television, returns to face Katsuya Kitamura. Kitamura, who's 35, he was the 2017 Observer Rookie of the Year. We all know that he was a muscular freak, and also we all thought that there was great things coming for him, potential future IWGP champion, but then all the random stories about what happened to him and he disappeared, but now he's back doing this freak fight. What do you think about this, Josh?
My money's on Olagon right now, but we'll see what happens.
Do you think this is going to be the return of Kitamura to wrestling?
Possibly. I mean, if he draws well, I mean, he's got the look, or if he wins, even more importantly, I wouldn't be surprised if, potentially some of these pro companies come, calling. So we'll see what happens coming out of that. But yeah, him and Bobby Olagun, really interesting.
Then other news, MLW is back in talks with The Crash about doing a show in Tijuana, and how this relates to New Japan. There was an interesting political note. MLW wanted Will Ospreay to work those Tijuana tapings, but New Japan would not let Ospreay work if any AAA personnel was on the show. So I think, we saw earlier a few months ago, kind of the comments from CMLL and New Japan that they're still working together. So we're kind of seeing that commitment is still there. New Japan is committed to the CMLL relationship. Last week on Impact, our good friend Rocky Romero, he challenged for the X Division Championship against Trey Miguel. Unfortunately, he did not beat Trey and become X Division champ, but that's a pretty good match. Check that out from Impact. And also we had Bound for Glory, where several New Japan guys were in losing efforts on the show and getting titles. ELP, Finjuice, Hikuleo, and Chris Bay were all on that show and failed in their title attempts.
Well, that's going to do it for the news. We're going to move on to listener questions. We've got a few of them here. Starting off with Sumo_Cerebro. He asked, also, MLW announced that they're reestablishing a working agreement with All Japan Pro Wrestling, considering that MLW was originally intended to be All Japan's US-based territory when the company started years ago. Do you guys think that New Japan should be concerned? P.S. I think fans would love to see Jake Lee versus Will Ospreay anywhere.
I don't think New Japan would have anything to be concerned about in the MLW All Japan potential relationship. I mean, MLW, this company, they announce so many partnerships that last like one show or fall through. I mean, this whole summer they were hyping up a Dragon Gate relationship. We were going to get this big Dragon Gate MLW partnership. That never happened. We've seen them, do stuff with the Crash and then not do stuff with the Crash and then try to do stuff with AAA, and they're trying to do Lucha Underground, and they're doing all kind of stuff. And so who knows if they do end up working with All Japan and how long that will last. And that they were able to kind of grift everybody into thinking that they had a full-term Vice TV deal when it only ended up being one special that only did 44,000 viewers. So yeah, I don't think New Japan would have anything to worry about with this.
I mean, I would have to take a look at like All Japan's TV deal and the kind of like business they're doing, and then kind of look at MLW's. And consider even if they were combined in some way, how would that pose a threat to New Japan?
Right.
Like it really doesn't. So no, I don't think that they're even too worried about it. And you brought up great points about the, fragility of their different partnerships. But I mean, just because they were All Japan's US-based partner / territory in 2001, dude, that was 20 years ago. It's not even like barely the same company anymore.
Right.
Neither of them are the same company anymore. So, I don't think that there's any concerns coming from Bushiroad. Fit Beautiful 2638 asked, with Impact AEW relationship going on indefinite hiatus, do you think that this affects NJPW at all and their relationship with either? They seem to be very close with Impact.
Interesting question. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I mean, as of right now, I don't think it's going to have any impact on the relationship. Obviously, we saw Suzuki. He's doing the tapings. Rocky was just on the last set of tapings. We're seeing Impact guys on Strong, so I think I think New Japan of America is being very open to kind of work with whoever and not really having set boundary lines.
Yeah, the fact that they're not all together a unified sort of like I don't know. I don't remember what they called it, the IWGP Concepcion. That was the deal between them and Rev Pro, ROH, CMLL. I don't think that they're like a unified body in that way where their dealings with one company affects their dealings with another company, in that sense. So
right.
I think that whatever relationship they have with either company is kind of intact and, operating independently of how they all deal with one another. Beyond that, I mean, so far, if we're really honest with ourselves, I think most of the NJPW, AEW quote unquote dealings have been talent exchanges mostly.
Right.
So it's not like they've got running storylines or something like that the Impact stuff sort of affect,
Right.
So I'm not too worried about that. She also asked, any idea if wrestlers would qualify for the new 3-day Japan quarantine rule for business travelers?
I haven't heard anything yet. Maybe we can try and ask some people, but it would be interesting to see. I mean, they are going for business, so they should qualify.
I don't know the rules on that. I guess we'll have to look more into it.
Yeah.
Pussy Destroyer 83619 said, do you think, is this why you want me to read the questions? Because you don't want to be the person that reads Pussy Destroyer on the line?
No, I've read it before, but you were on a roll reading the question, so I just...
All right. Pussy Destroyer 83619. He said, do you think it's time to change the format of the G1? It's a great tournament. The only problem I see with it is that it runs through too many matches, and most matches in the G1 are repeated already. Forces big names to blow off potential title matches in tournament settings. Would 4 blocks with 6 wrestlers be a better choice? They could be, mini 4-man tournaments in the G1 finals to determine the winner, or any other idea to shake up things in the G1.
Well, I think Pussy Destroyer 83619 is a new listener, and they probably have not heard your plan of shaking up the G1.
Yeah, but it's not for the same reason necessarily, but I think some of the same benefits outlined are similar. Here's the thing, the G1 has done four block tournaments before in the past. A lot of people maybe don't realize that. Like the formats of the G1 Climax have been varying since the very beginning. I mean, we had single block tournaments, double block tournaments, single elimination tournaments, four blocks, 2 blocks. We've had times where the top 4 finalists face off in weird playoffs to go to the finals. All sorts of different formats. So I mean, they could change it, but it's not like it's unprecedented.
Right. You just want to quickly recap your idea.
Mine basically was very similar to this. It's like you have 6 men in 4 blocks. You get 24 participants, so you can include more people with that number. You get to, like you mentioned, you blow off less big matches, protect more of those matches. You get to have the wrestlers perform at an optimum level, but they have maybe less nights to perform. So it's better for their health. The company gets to promote more shows, so they make more money. I mean, there's a lot of benefits there.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that. Get more guys in and save matches, and also think he mentioned about not fresh matchups. I think we just haven't seen a ton of new people, especially with the pandemic. New guys able to get in to get new matchups, but obviously having smaller blocks would help that problem too.
I was thinking the same thing. I think once the world is more open, it's not going to be uncommon to see some outsiders from the States, especially with the New Japan of America connection, kind of liven things up going forward. So, I mean, they could do this, but I mean, they don't have to. I mean, they're fine either way.
Right.
Racing Falcon said, suddenly, everyone who's been IWGP champion disappears. That includes the new version of the belt, too. You must pick 5 current NJPW wrestlers to become the new pillars of NJPW. Who would your picks be?
Probably go.
So he's saying anybody that's ever been IWGP champion, just okay, including the new belt, they're just gone. So we have to pick the 5 new pillars based on people. Yeah.
Gonna go Umino, Narita, Fredericks, Yumura, and Connors.
So you're picking all young lions. So you wouldn't pick someone that is a upper mid tier guy that just hasn't held the belt, like say a Sonata.
Nah, we roasted that man last week. I would never pick Sonata.
Okay, I'll roll with you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what guys I would be picking that haven't held the belt yet.
Right.
The Dark Soldier asked us, he said, asking another real question here. Whatever happened to Mikey Nichols? He was with Chaos. We haven't seen him in so long. Is this another example of Okada's poor leadership?
Yeah, I just think the deal with Nichols is just the lockdown where he's from. He's Australian, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know what his contract situation was either.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire.
Right.
I have heard that he was doing some good work in Australia last year. I think we might have considered one of his excursion matches as a excursion match of the year contender. I don't remember, but other than that, I don't know. I wouldn't be too disappointed if he didn't come back, to be honest.
Same here.
Speaking of Chaos, with there being no Chaos Mole, should Okada have introduced a Bullet Club mole to psych out Jay White and Bullet Club? My answer to you is, how do you know he didn't?
Right. Yes, it wasn't publicized.
You know who the Chaos Mole's been all these years, right?
Who?
Yujiro.
Ah.
This man Yujiro, they psyched. It was a double cross, bro. That time when he made Okada lose to AJ, that was setting them up. They never saw it was coming. Double cross, swerve.
Well, I mean, Yujiro could be the mole. I mean, he's always jumping groups. He jumped to Chaos, the Bullet Club. Now he's jumping to House of Torture. It's probably Yujiro.
Bro, he jumped from Bullet Club to Elite back to Bullet Club.
I forgot about that jump. Yeah.
Don Homie 101 said, time for some fight talk. And it's fight week ×2. Thoughts on the undisputed super middleweight clash between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. This is going to be a tight fight, and I think Canelo will unfortunately be the winner. But I'm rooting for Plant to get the win because it's time for Canelo to eat some humble pie with his self-entitled diva behind. I guess my answer to that is I pretty much agree with everything you're saying. I like Caleb Plant. I think he's an impressive guy. I think that there's a lot of like hypocrisy when people were kind of judging the way that he was, speaking at the press conferences to Canelo, when Canelo did things very similar in the past and people praised him for it. But then, Caleb Plant is disrespectful, it's kind of that double talk sort of thing. But yeah, I think Canelo is probably going to beat Caleb, and that will be that. He'll be the undisputed middleweight champion, which we haven't had one since Jermaine Taylor. So the next question he asked were thoughts on the upcoming fight between Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, and Colby piece of shit Covington. That will take place at MSG on UFC 268. I'm rooting for Usman to break Colby's jaw again and get the win again. Jeremy, I know you watch a little UFC, so you probably have some thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think both guys are good fighters. I mean, we kind of have a running joke with some of the guys that I watch UFC with that I always, back the black fighters, us.
Oh, my God.
So, I got to, back the Nigerian Nightmare here.
Well, yeah, I mean, Usman has just looked better and better and better every single fight. So, I mean, I'm kind of afraid of the version that Colby Covington might be fighting come 268. The first fight they had was a match of the year contender. So, I'm looking forward to it. Also, that whole Colby Covington piece of shit, don't get worked, bro. I'm pretty sure his whole shtick is a fucking work.
It's a gimmick. Yeah.
It's a gimmick. Last thing he said here. This is not a fighter question, but this is a fighter to look out for, and his name is Jaron Boots Enos. He's a mixture of both Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. with Roy Jones-like talent. And I think that it's possible that he could beat both Crawford and Spence. Here's a highlight clip of the man that's known as Boots. So, I don't know, man. If he doesn't come out here and fucking whoop one of these welterweight champions, I'm gonna think less of you, Dom Homie 101. So I appreciate your downloads, but I don't appreciate your opinions unless this man comes out here and proves he's the truth. So Boots, come on down. I gotta check out this. Did you watch this dude's YouTube channel?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
All right, we'll have to look at it. But I mean, bro, he said he's like Roy Jones mixed with Spence and Crawford. Like, what the fuck?
Sounds like a creative player.
Yeah, it sounds like Sugar Ray Robinson. What the fuck are you talking about? Hawaiian Punch BV had a series of questions. He said, thoughts on Josh Barnett making an appearance on NJPW Strong challenging Alex Coughlin.
So,
who else?
Yeah, we answered that one earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we discussed that. Okay, he had some fight talk as well. He said, what did you think of Peter Yan's performance this past weekend? Who can beat him after he downloads a couple rounds into that fighting supercomputer called his brain? Did you watch any of the UFC this weekend?
I did not. I know about. He's gonna ask about the next Glover's Teixeira. I saw that, but yeah, I haven't saw anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see UFC 267. I know. I think it was available for. It wasn't pay per view. I think it was available on ESPN Plus. But
yeah, it was also 2:00 in the afternoon.
That's not uncommon for some of those overseas shows.
I didn't know where it was.
I don't know where it was either, but it was at 2. I know it was at 2. But yeah, I saw an infographic. It looked like Peter Yan beat up Corey Sandhagen and beat him the scorecards read that it was unanimous, so I don't know what to think with that one. But yeah, Peter Yan is a guy, he does definitely have a supercomputer for a brain, because he figures out guys even through, adversity, and makes adjustments and just picks guys apart. It's kind of scary. Next thing, he asked Glover Teixeira winning the title and Fedor winning his possible next fight. That one, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Fedor. I thought Fedor just beat a younger guy.
Yeah, he said, what do you think of old guys getting it done in MMA? Glover Teixeira winning the title and Fedor winning his possible final fight.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that part. There's a bunch of bullet points, so it makes it confusing for this whole thing.
I came in late, so I tried to copy it in and paste it in real quick, so it didn't come out right.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Fedor knocked someone out. Fucking awesome. Glover Teixeira. I told someone back in like 2009, 2010, I thought he was going to be the answer to John Jones, the one guy that could like kind of handle him. I was wrong at the time, but I did tell people he was going to be a future UFC light heavyweight champion. I was just like basically almost 7 or 8 years late.
You were ahead.
I was ahead, but I was wrong. But yeah, that's pretty fucking awesome to see him beat Blachowicz. So
hey, it's 2021. Olds on top. OT, year of the Olds.
And then he asked, who do you got in a super exciting fight between Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje this weekend? And I don't know. I will go with Gaethje, because I know Chandler's great, but Gaethje's kind of proved to me, he's top tier, special guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to go with Chandler, especially, he's only had so very little fights in the UFC so far. I know he's had, obviously, came from Bellator, right?
He did, yes.
Yes, I know he's had a great career there, but I haven't seen much of him in UFC. And also, we've seen a ton of Gaethje in big fights, and just the amount of punishment he can take and keep going, and then potentially come back and win fights. So I think the safe bet would be to go with Gaethje.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler is a special fighter as well, but I just, I don't know. I got a feeling about Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I feel like Chandler might be like the more quote unquote like technically sound of the two of them, but I feel like Gaethje would do something that's like more kind of wild. He's more kind of wild and crazy.
Well, we'll see what happens with that one.
Then last thing to close the show out here, recommended match of the week. So last week I recommended for us to watch the Never Openweight title match from Power Struggle 2013. Tetsuya Naito defending the Never title, and also I think his right to challenge contract against Masato Tanaka.
From which show?
From Power Struggle 2013. Did you get a chance to watch this match?
No, I did not.
I watched it. Thought it was a really good matchup.
Was this your first time seeing it? Because I have seen it in the past.
Yeah, it's my first time seeing it. I had not seen this match before. And thought it started off with really some good chain wrestling there. And then to me, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, I think Masato got tired of that. It was like, screw this. We're going hardcore. Goes outside, pulls a table out. He like smashes Naito in the head with a kendo stick, puts Naito through a table, with a splash from the top to the outside. Naito's bleeding, and then pretty much, he's kind of this face fighting from underneath, and Tanaka's just slapping the crap out of him, beating the crap out of him, and then, Naito's firing up, and it kind of turns into more of a traditional Never style. These guys are just giving hard blows, hard chops, hard palm slaps to the face. There was a crazy neck bump where Tanaka lariated Naito on the apron. Naito did a crazy neck bump on the apron. And then it's kind of going back and forth until Naito hit the Stardust Press and got the win here. Really good match. 15 minutes, hard hitting. You had gimmicks, you had juice. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was actually their third match that year. They had wrestled, I think, at Kazuna Road and Destruction for the Never title previously. And so this was sort of like the rubber match blow-off to their little mini 2013 feud. And yeah, I do remember it being very violent on the outside with the bleeding and the table spot. the one thing that stood out to me from this match was how hard these guys worked, but how the crowd was so anti-Naito at this point.
Yeah.
Which like really shines through. And I mean, you watch the G1 Climax final with him and Tanahashi just prior to this, and I mean, you think this guy's going to be like the next big thing, and then suddenly he's getting booed out. Yeah, it's just kind of surprising. I think ultimately I do like their destruction match the best. That's the second match. That's the one where Naito wins the Never title initially, which was kind of a big deal at the time. But this match is still good. It's just I do think it's a unique, like it kind of holds a unique place in history because it's really part of that character building phase from, you know, Naito sort of transitioning from Stardust to Tranquilo, you know?
Right. Well, do you have a recommended match of the week for us this week?
No, let's take the week off and I'll give you guys a match next week.
All right, so yeah, use this week to catch up on any wrestling that you may have missed. I mean, New Japan World's throwing up tons of stuff from Impact and Rev Pro and all their partners, AEW. And get ready for Power Struggle this weekend. And
absolutely.
That's going to wrap things up for us here this week. Next week, we'll be back to review Power Struggle, and then we will preview Battle in the Valley and World Tag League and Best of Super Junior. So if you enjoy, what are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, holy crap.
Yeah, it's gonna be a busy November. 19 shows this month, so tons of shows, tons of content here. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. The network is at Social Suplex. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. You can also find us on Facebook in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. On Instagram, we're at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Discord channel. The link for that is in the description of the show. And check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences podcast of Caleb and Maserati. 8-Bit Suplex with Josh #2, All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin, the Great Match Generator with Danny, and starting soon, the AEW Match Guide podcast with Sir Sam Brown. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
Sling TV, built to save you money and bring you the channels you love, including ESPN, AMC, HGTV, and more. Watch your favorite comedies, dramas, suspense thrillers, news, sports, and more for just $35 a month. And your first month is only $10. Sign up now and start streaming right away on your TV, phone, and tablet. Take control of your TV solution with Sling. It makes TV flat out better. Go to sling.com to sign up now and get your first month for just $10.